The times when there was no internet. They each drank only one glass of beer. Belgium, 1971. We have returned home. USSR during World War II. An elephant from a Belgian zoo is forced to work on a farm during World War I, 1915. Myrtle Corbin, a girl born in 1868 with a doubled pelvis and 4 legs. Myrtle spent her whole life in the circus, but later married a doctor and gave birth to 5 children. She lived to be 60. In 2007, the gorilla Senkwekwe and several others fell victim to the conflict in Virunga National Park, Africa. As a result, authorities enacted stricter laws to protect the park's remaining gorilla population. Division of Family Property in a Courtroom, USA, 1999. Bill Gates, with a fortune of $90 billion and number 2 on the Forbes list, stands in line for a burger in Seattle. A herd of elephants before mass extermination truly meant a herd. Photo taken in 1976 in Africa. A Vietnamese family fleeing to Saigon during the Vietnam War, 1972. A group shaving device. The machine could simultaneously shave 12 people, 1903. A British sailor saws off the shackles of a slave, which the man had worn for 3 years. A Northumbrian miner eating lunch after a long work day, 1937. He probably had similarly black lungs and did not live long. A men's beauty contest, USA, 1919. World War I. Shell casings fired at German positions. Chinese court, the most inhumane court in the world. Every day, 1 stone would be removed from under the feet of the man until he suffocates. Photo from 1906. In the picture is a river pirate who killed 6 people. A Chernobyl liquidator prepares to clean the reactor roof. He burned to death from radiation after 40 minutes. Chernobyl, 1986. Andrew Card informs U.S. President George Bush of the terrorist attack, interrupting his reading to school children in Sarasota, Florida, September 11, 2001. Sausage Charmer, Chicago, Illinois, USA, 1956. A timeless problem, the fight against excess weight. For example, Portuguese monks in the 12th century fought this issue by making a special opening in their monastery's dining hall so that overweight monks had to fast. The widely known photograph that changed the perception of AIDS. A father comforts his son, David Kirby, on his deathbed in Ohio, 1990. People pose on a dead whale covered in graffiti, California, 1919. The start of the one-legged World War I veterans race, New York, 1918. A Tibetan man greets a photographer in 1955. This gesture was traditional proof that they weren't reincarnated demons, because according to folklore, demons have green tongues. Monumental stone coins used by the people of Japan. They are still used as currency on the island of Palau. A Turk washes his feet for his final prayer, while Bulgarian soldiers prepare a gallows for him, 1913. The photo shows an emaciated 18-year-old Russian girl after being liberated from the Dachau concentration camp, 1945. Vintage dating tips for single women, 1938. Don't drink too much, as a man expects you to keep your dignity all evening. Let's be friends. This was Adolf Hitler's appeal to the global community, 1936. French women, accused of collaborating with the Germans, are paraded through the streets. It seems they are also being forced to give the Hitler salute. World War II. Even back then, there were topless technologies. 1910. A resident of Ohio demonstrates a car of his own design. USA. Sophia Loren in an advertisement for marinated anchovies. USA, 1951. Italian serial killer Leonarda Cianciulli boiled soap from the fat of her victims. She then distributed these pieces to neighbors and acquaintances. Poor Renaissance girls. Over time, it became fashionable to have absolutely no eyelashes. They were meticulously plucked, and it was closely monitored to ensure there were no hairs left on the eyelids. The longest-serving man was Japanese Shigeshio Izumi, who worked 98 years on a sugar beet plantation, retiring at the age of 105. Student Training and Sexuality Enhancement Courses, Japan, 1983. At the 1920 Olympics, Teresa Velde became the first woman to perform a Salchow jump, but judges disapproved. Seducing a Guard, 1970s. A woman uses a special bandage to fight depression, Budapest, 1937. The cabinet ministers line up for execution after a coup in Liberia, 1980. U.S. President Lyndon Johnson listens to a report from his son-in-law about the real situation in Vietnam, Washington, 1968. The director of the Belgrade Zoo persuades a runaway chimpanzee named Sammy to return to the zoo, 1988. Don't be afraid, boy. Mommy's nearby. Italy, 1940. Women make decoy heads to help spot snipers on the front lines, World War I. This is a wealthy family, 1910s, Liberia. In the 19th century, a movement arose in the U.S. to return freed African slaves to Liberia. Later, African Americans captured lands of indigenous tribes, enslaving them, and, replicating the U.S. lifestyle, became slaveholders. Male lipstick tester, 1960s. Franz Reichelt tested his parachute suit by jumping off the Eiffel Tower. It failed. He died instantly on February 4th, 1912. A copper mask for a war participant, created in an era when plastic surgery was not yet known, 1918. A device for focusing on reading and writing, invented by Hugo Gernsback, provided deep noise isolation, supplied pure oxygen, and limited vision to a narrow slit for text, USA, 1925. Not an electric chair. This 1930s health procedure used electric current in water basins to improve circulation. Slaves in Chains, Zanzibar, 1865. After the atomic bombing of Hiroshima in August 1945, 80,000 people died from the explosion. By the end of the year, due to radiation and other consequences, the total number of victims exceeded 150,000. The last public appearance of Chinese leader Mao Zedong, 1976. French police show the way to entering the German Wehrmacht in Paris. In 1945, France would become one of the victorious countries. A young Russian girl finally tastes freedom after surviving the horrors of Auschwitz, 1945. This haunting image serves as a powerful reminder of the millions stripped of their identity, yet who managed to survive the impossible. A lost and found room at a Paris police station, 1954. This is a warning from a Ku Klux Klan member to African-American residents of a Miami neighborhood who were expected to participate in the elections, May 1939. Women in wooden swimsuits designed to help them float better, 1929. A woman on the right is presenting a plastic protective bra for women working in munitions factories, USA, 1943. It was believed that it protected against radiation and other harmful substances. For 5 years, a prisoner in Brazil dug a tunnel to escape, but it led right into the guardroom. 1883, British India. Bearer of civilization displays hunting trophies. Photos like this explain why Indians still resent British colonists. In 1935, 6-month-old Hesse Taft was chosen as the ideal Aryan baby by the Nazi magazine Sonne ins Haus. The only problem was she was Jewish. A German pilot jumps from a burning plane. Parachutes did not exist at the time. World War I, 1915. A Dora Middlebow camp prisoner shows an American soldier the camp crematorium. American submarine rescuing a pilot shot down by the Japanese. Future U.S. President George H.W. Bush, 1944. Swedish soldiers prepare arrested Germans and Baltics for extradition to the USSR. These were soldiers from the Third Reich who fled to this country after World War II. Gay activists carry a mile-long rainbow banner through New York City to mark the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots, 1994. The day Prohibition was repealed, USA, December 5th, 1933. 1983, USA. A stripper was arrested for her inadequate underwear. In court, she gave undeniable proof that everything was legally covered. Shell casings after shelling enemy positions. Vietnam, 1967. In ancient Rome, there was an interesting way for the people to fight for their rights: secession. This involved a mass exodus from the city with food supplies. This paralyzed the economy, and the patricians were forced to yield. British magician Kuda Books demonstrates his ability to see with his eyes closed. England, 1937. Turtle racing in the US, 1920s. A turtle's body isn't built for this kind of weight, posing a risk of injury. But in America, there was always a desire to make a show out of absolutely anything. John Kennedy just minutes before he was killed, 1963. Enos, America's first astronaut chimpanzee preparing for his historic launch, 1961. In the 1870s, the KKK was officially banned and went underground. But in 1915, the organization resumed open activities. About 6 million people joined its ranks. Lynchings in the US continued. Survivors from the British steamship Titanic disembarking onto the Carpathia, 1912. Veteran driver John Surtees refused to race this experimental magnesium Honda, deeming it a death trap. Rookie Joe Schlesser took the wheel instead. On lap 3, the car crashed and instantly incinerated. This photo shows Surtees driving past the inferno. a bra model, fashionable in the 40s and 50s. Conjoined twins, Pip and Flip, popular circus performers, 1923. All members of this glider unit survived, went through the war, and in 2011 reunited as they were in 1944 before the Normandy landings. The population hides in a swamp during the Vietnam War. Historic handshake between Thomas Stafford and Alexei Leonov, 1975. Geronimo, the military leader of the Chiricahua Apache, who led the fight against the U.S. invasion of his tribe's land for 25 years. In 1886, he was forced to surrender to the U.S. Army. Flamingos wait out Hurricane Andrew in a Miami Zoo restroom, 1992. Inflatable boats made of buffalo hide, early 19th century, India. In the 19th century, atheist George Hall had a debate with a believer about whether giants once roamed the earth. Believing that people would believe anything written in the Bible, Hall carved a statue of a giant man, made it look petrified, and buried it in the ground in Cardiff, New York. He waited more than a year before digging up the Cardiff giant, charging people to come see it. By the time he was exposed, he had made nearly $500,000. Auschwitz concentration camp, the very furnace in which people were burned. In 1945, the USS Indianapolis was carrying an atomic bomb to Japan, but was torpedoed and sank. The sailors who ended up in the water were attacked by sharks. About 150 people died from their teeth. The pioneer of the automobile radio was Alfred Greb, who had to install a large antenna shaped like a clothes dryer on the bumpers around 1919. Native Alaskans play the game Nulukatuk, 1965. The trampoline was invented by Eskimos to spot whales during hunting as early as possible. They used a stretched walrus skin, which could throw them to a height of almost 4 floors. Monks from Asakusa Temple prepare for the Sino-Japanese War, Japan, 1936. The last public execution in the USA, 1936. The evolution of the women's swimsuit from 1875 to 1927. Torgau, 1945. Soviet and American troops meet and hug near the ruined bridge across the Elbe. Their smiles are genuine, yet they mask 4 years of shared conflict. Stalingrad and Normandy, the siege of Leningrad and Pearl Harbor. During World War II, the Soviet army trained suicide dogs to destroy enemy tanks. Starving dogs were taught that food could be found under a mock-up of a combat vehicle. Love is stronger than all prejudices. Children using a Bellamy salute during the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag. A year later, the ritual was changed due to its resemblance to the Nazi salute, 1942. Winston Churchill is carried on a stretcher after being hit by a car in New York, 1931. In 1952, Einstein was offered the post of President of Israel, but he refused, citing a lack of necessary experience. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you!